Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Azabi here, back again with Mob Psycho 100, Season 2, we're on Episode 3, and in the last episode, we're kind of just, going through these episodes as, sort of one arc episodes. It's very similar to, Season 1 in that regard. I keep saying, I'm sure it'll come up to the, back to, the main storyline and the overarching, thing that they've got going on with Claw at some point, but, like I've said before, I think, there needs to be a reason to get the likes of Mob and Reagan back in, because Reagan kind of wants Mob to be that kind of pacifist type and not have to resort to violence, because he has that whole thing with using your powers as it's dangerous. So I think there has to be something to get them back in. It could be Ritsu again, because we know that Sho likes him a lot. So we're just gonna have to wait and see exactly how all that plays out. But I want to see my boy. I want to see Tereki again. Come on. Nah, I'm joking. I like watching this anyway, because it's you know what I mean. Even the ones that aren't really part of the overarching story are still fun to watch anyway. So yeah. I mean, this show's it's funny. This show's funny. So yeah, I don't think there's anything. I mean, normally I use these pre-discussions as a way to talk about the last episode, and then therefore I know what's coming in this one upcoming, but they didn't really do anything that I suppose is going to continue on, aside from setting up that website. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The Emmy thing, I hope that comes back, because I like Emmy. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There's also the sort of religion thing that is it Mizuki, I think, is trying to get going to be the thing for. I don't see that happening, but yeah, I don't think there's anything else really to talk about. So that is all I really need to talk about. If you want to go watch episode 4 immediately after this one, then you can go over to my Patreon and get the early access tier, become an early access tier patron, and then you can watch episode 4 right now. So once you're done with episode 3, you can go straight into episode 4 if you don't want to wait until next week. And just like The Promised Neverland, there's only one episode of these a week that I can make, I'm afraid. So yeah, that's that. But yeah, without further ado, let's get in episode 3 and see what we get. Let's go. Episode 3, fantastic episode. I mean, here's the thing with Mob is and back in season 1 when I was reacting to it, I think it was episode 5, right, when he went up against Tereki, and of course while that was a great sort of fight thing, and it's yeah, psychic versus psychic, great. The great thing about that episode wasn't that. It was it's the thought-provoking stuff, where I think that Mob, the reason why Mob Psycho is actually a good show, because it talks about these sort of these things, and I think because it's all mixed in throughout a show that is primarily a comedy, and it's a very funny show. I think because of that, because it's completely on the opposite spectrum, it means that you can almost feel it a lot more, because it is a comedy show. So when it goes to those sort of serious moments, it's such a it feels harder hitting because of that. Dude, those that family, man. Great family, fucking fantastic family. I mean, the only thing is that they wanted to stay there. I mean, I guess it could be a thing of wanting to stay there where their house is, but it seemed like when he's talking about how he wants to stay together with his family, my thought was, well, if you're a spirit, then you're sort of in purgatory in a way, and that you're not really at rest. But I'm thinking, I think the whole idea, I mean, I find I could be wrong, just because of we don't know the ins and outs of what the fucking afterlife is, right? So I suppose it's not too far out of the line of thinking to believe that, you know, they just want to be together because they don't know what will happen if they do, like, leave to the after. They don't know if they'll see each other again, I guess. So it's kind of like them just sort of being, you know, they know they are together now, even if it isn't death. So, like, you know, it's sad. Like I said during the reaction, like what a bummer this episode is. Like, not like in a bad way. It's just like, you know, it's such a, like, I wasn't expecting it to be like to come over this early, you know. I wasn't. But yeah, it was a fucking great episode. You know what I'm thinking? You think I'm noticing as well? Is Mob's fucking 100% thing taking longer? If that's the case, I think it might be because he's getting a sort of, well, because we know in like season 1 the reason why I feel like his powers like 100% and sometimes even beyond like came out quite a lot last season. And because we know why that is the case. Like, I feel like if this was season 1 Mob, let's just say like the position that he was in, like, and you know, he hadn't, you know, have all of these sort of, because right now he's having these interactions with other characters where he is sort of, I don't feel he is as, I don't think he feels that he is like as alone anymore, you know. And because of that, even though he's still kind of very straight-faced, and you know, he's still like not really able to completely convey emotion and everything like that. I feel like he's getting more of a control over it. I feel like if this was season 1 Mob, like he would have probably already been to like 100%, maybe twice already. Like, I feel like definitely in this one, I feel like definitely here, you know, when deciding like whether or not, like, how do you quantify which one? I love that. I noticed that was coming in about halfway through the episode or somewhere around there, where like he was asking the questions about why is it so different for humans versus spirits. Like, why do I need to feel like, you know, it goes back to the bloody stalker thing, and that stalker guy's fucking nuts. Jesus. Also, was he a psychic? He must be, right? Because he said he was doing it with he was using out of body experience in order to spy. So he must be, right? I think he must be, man. But then again, well, fuck it, I'll go back into that in a second. But anyway, yeah. So the whole stalker thing, she was, you know, absolutely frightened beyond belief. Like, she'd boarded, like, she'd placed like cardboard or whatever the fuck, like, over the windows, and then not only that, but closed the curtains as well. Like, she was like not in a good way about that whole thing. But then as soon as she realized that it was like a human, like her demeanor completely changed. And then, but I mean, that's something that we can all relate to. I mean, I was sitting there and I was watching it. I was like, this guy's fucked. Like, I think that's not the way to go about getting a woman, you know. But I think it's relatable to us because we're not fucking psychics. You know what I mean? And we're doing converse with spirits. If it was a thing that in our world where spirits were like something that was like prominent, you would be like, there will be people out there that are going to be afraid of spirits because you don't know what they're capable of, and there's something unknown, which is something that, like, the fear of the unknown is like one of the biggest fear things in the world. Like, it's almost like everybody has it because they don't know what's there, you know. And that's like all that like H.P. Lovecraft and stuff and Cthulhu and shit is like all fear of the unknown stuff, you know. and it's interesting, but it can be scary. Um, but under the realization that, you know, it was a human all along, she realized, oh, it's just a fucking human. Like, I know what a human is. I know what he's trying to do. He's being a fucking creep. So screw him. Of course, like, you know, because we could relate to that. And the interesting thing is Mob can't, because he deals with both. And it's not just as... It's not like a case of, like, black and white kind of thing. And I wrote down, like, dicks everywhere. Like, not literally. Like, there's not, like a bunch of penises flying around. I meant, like, there was a hell of a... Like, fucking... There was dickheads everywhere in this episode. And now I know why. Because the question is, like... You know, it's not just a question of, like what he sees, or whoever puts, like, you know, what's the sort of difference. The reason why, like, all of the humans were, like, acting like dickheads to them was to put that whole thought in Mob's mind of, well, wait a minute, so why does it feel like I need to prioritize humans who are bad people versus spirits who are actually good people? But because they're spirits, they you know, it's like almost like they don't get a choice in a way, you know. It's great. It's great. It's fucking. It's like a great message to sort of like think about, especially from Mob's point of view. When the two school kids came up, and then you had Dimple come to help him out, and then eventually like Ritsu as well. Dimple said something really interesting. Now I know that. Well, it's interesting first because Ritsu said, "You don't have to fight. I'll fight for you." He's the only one that like sort of like he's the only one that didn't mention about like he should be fighting. The Body Improvement Club were like, you know, you should like, you know, fight back so you don't get bullied all the time. And then Dimple said something like along the lines of like, it's better for society if you fight back. I know this whole thing of like he's not supposed to be using his power. Like it might be different if, you know, if Mob was. Well, I still almost don't feel like that's like Mob's character. But if he was like more built and able to like, you know, fight back without the need for his psychic powers, then maybe it possibly could be different. But like I say, I don't think Mob is that type of character anyway. But I mean, the way he's this character on purpose, like he's written this way. He's supposed to be like exactly the way he is, and that's how you're able to prop up these kind of like, you know, talking points and things like that. But yeah, the whole idea of Dimple basically saying like it's better for society if he does fight back because it's supposed to deter bad people from doing bad stuff again. If they get like a taste of their own fucking medicine, like if they're like bullying a kid and a kid comes back and fucking, you know, hurts them back, that kid might think like about like not doing that next time. You know what I mean? It might, you know. Of course, like that's. Sometimes it could possibly go the opposite way and shit could possibly get worse, but there's no real right or wrong answer there anyway, you know what I mean? I'm never gonna, you know, I'm never gonna begrudge a kid for fighting back when a bully's coming at him, you know what I mean? Because I mean, I was fucking brought up to like eye for an eye kind of thing, you know what I mean? I wish I was better to just fucking, you know, basically say fuck you, don't give a fuck, you know what I mean? But if somebody's like, you know, coming up on me, then, you know, if I fight back, it's not as easy for them. And bullies tend to be the kind of thing like you pick on the weak. So if you come back like strong, then, you know what I mean, then it sort of deters them away. And maybe for the betterment of society, like maybe that is a case. Like if, like let's say that every kid who's bullied in the world, I know this is like a hypothetical and stuff, you know, but like let's say like if every kid who is being bullied right now decide to step up and fight back, is there a chance that maybe society would be better off for it? Like, would there be possibly less fucking crime in the world? Because I suppose you can't get like, you get to that point of like, bullies who tend to grow up and be a bit more possibly criminals or whatever. I guess there's no real statistics or factual things behind that, but who knows? I mean, I'm just talking about like a hypothetical in society and what would happen if that were the case. Like, would it actually affect society enough to the point where it would actually be better? I don't know, but it's an interesting sort of theory anyway, or talking point. Like, if mob was to like fight back, what would happen? But yeah. Whew. Heavy episode. Really heavy episode. So where else? Yeah, so mob speaking for spirits. There was that one thing where, well, towards the end of the episode, he's basically saying like I must be like the only one that can see it from this perspective, and like nobody else can, because he kind of does like sort of speak for the spirits in a way, like he does. Like, I'm trying to think that there was that fucking what was it? Well, first of all, he's the messenger, right? So, like, he's the one that is in the middle of that whole scene. Like, I get, well, you've got Dimple there, but of course he isn't, he's not there to be the guy in the middle. He's just, he's just there. And even though he does help out in the end, which originally I was like, fuck, Dimple, what are you doing? Like, it's like the first, like, real dick move, like, Dimple's done since back when he tried to take over Ritsu and stuff, right? And I was like, fuck, but like later on it was sort of determined that like the point was, even though I still think it's a bit dodgy to do that, I think that the point that Dimple was that whole point was supposed to tell us was that if that spirit had have gotten real agitated and actually wanted to kill those people, then I guess it's something of like, well, he was kind of like on the verge of doing it anyway. But it's kind of nice. I mean, I feel like at this point Dimple's he's at a point where he does kind of protect Mob, but then even more so than that, Reagan protecting Mob as well. Like realizing that this is I mean, first of all, he's just a kid. But Reagan's always had this like sort of like older brother, almost like fatherly kind of he's been that figure for a Mob, and he teaches them these sort of morals. And I've always thought, of course, it is like such a funny juxtaposition having Reagan be that sort of almost like the quintessential fucking parent for him, but he does things like he's a con artist and stuff, But it's nice anyway. It's it's always cool to see that. Especially when you got because Reagan's not like a very serious character until it matters, and then that's when it like I said, it's like that juxtaposition of it like being a comedy, but then when it gets serious, like it hits harder because it's like, oh shit, okay. And it's yeah, I really love it. It's such a good show. Yeah, we had that whole thing with Dimple basically saying like I don't know why, like it was like the talk of like spirits having sexual urges, and then I remember Dimple was the one that was in the school bathroom with the schoolgirls, right, being the pervert. Like, serious, fuck's sake. Yeah, the hold on, how many have I got here? Yeah, so I think the last thing that I've got here is one of the first things that Mob had said was it a good idea to give him that curse thing even though it was bullshit, because it's the idea that if he thinks that is supposed to work, then you're still kind of fucking with people because of the perception of that one person that may give them an urge to do something more or take them further down the path of like the unrighteous and stuff, you know. God, this fucking episode's mad, like so like philosophical and shit. It's crazy. You know, this is like a show that's just on the surface that you just wouldn't think is this fucking like has this many messages to like things to talk about, and it's great. So it makes it such a good show, man. But yeah, I mean, when he's talking about that, it kind of makes sense. Like, and like I said before about how it's weird how Reagan's like to mob and being that figure, he's such a good person morally in that regard. But because he's a con artist, he's still kind of fucking with people. And yeah, it's interesting. I wanted to go more into that. I think it's best to keep it sort of like split up and have those like moments of like serious. But yeah, I don't think this is a show that'll ever really get rid of its like comedy aspect. I don't think I doubt that that's the case. But that's good, because I think that's the good balance that it strikes. So yeah, really love that episode. That was fantastic. If you want to go watch episode 4 right now, then you can do by going over to my Patreon and becoming an early access tier patron. So if you don't want to wait until next week, then you can go there and get episode 4 immediately. And also, if you want to watch the full length of both of like all of these episodes, then you can become a full length tier patron there as well. And there's also other tiers there where you can pay to have certain shows reacted to if you want me to react to a certain show. So you can go have a look at those as well. And yeah, I've got a Discord. All of the links and everything like that are in the description below. But that is all I've got. So thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.